Here are the top stories for today, August 3, 2021. The Philippines pockets another Olympic medal as Nesty Petecio finishes second to her Japanese rival at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Fellow Filipino Carlo Paalam is assured of a bronze medal after defeating his foe from Uzbekistan. More vaccines pouring in, another 415,000 doses of AstraZeneca jabs donated by the United Kingdom arrive in the country, and another 3 million Moderna vaccine doses donated by the United States will arrive later tonight. Boosting pandemic response, the Health Department increases the number of ICU beds and oxygen supply for patients as it works double time to battle the highly transmissible COVID-19 Delta variant. And the Labor Department is sparing no effort in finding means to aid around 127,000 workers that might be affected by the 2-week enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. It is a silver medal for Nesty Petecio. Petecio lost to Japan's Sena Iri in the gold medal bout of the women's featherweight competitions of the Tokyo Olympics. Though it was a unanimous decision for the Japanese, the fight, which was held past noon today, was close. Iri won the first round. Petecio got the second. The third was a nip-and-tuck affair, but the judges eventually gave their nod to Iri. Earlier today, boxer Carlo Paalam secures himself of at least a bronze medal. Paalam upsets top seed and defending Olympic champion Shapko Bidin Zoirov of Uzbekistan in the quarterfinals of the men's flyweight category. The fight was stopped at the 1 minute 44 seconds mark of the second round after both ring warriors sustained cuts from accidental head collision. The ring doctor ruled the Uzbekistani is unfit to continue because of a big gash above his left eye. When the fight was stopped, Paalam was ahead in 4 of 5 scorecards, with the other one scoring it a draw. Next assignment for the 23-year-old Pinoy Simon Pure is Hiromei Tanaka of Japan. That semi-final fisticuffs is set on Thursday, August 5th. President Rodrigo Duterte called on the local government units to step up as more vaccines are expected to arrive in their localities. The details from Marita Muwahe.
More vaccines are expected to arrive in the different parts of the country with the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines, the latest of which are the 3 million doses of Moderna vaccines donated by the United States. President Rodrigo Duterte personally thanked U.S. President Joe Biden and the American people for the donated vaccines.
Papasalamat tayo. I'd like to thank President of the United States, Biden, the government and the people of America for not forgetting us.
The President, meanwhile, assures that no areas will be neglected in the vaccine distribution. He said all LGUs, including those in the far-flung communities, will get their part from large volumes of the government-procured vaccines set to arrive in the coming months.
Let me just assure everybody, anywhere in the Philippines, that the vaccines that we are giving is for all Filipinos. It's just a matter of priority dito sa yung mga hotspots. Gaya ng mga Maynila and the environs. Nandito lahat yung yung tao. So yung transmission mas mabilis. Pero kung sabihin mo na mabigyan sila, we commit.
President Duterte said the vaccine distribution will be done immediately after the bulk will be delivered in the coming months. He also called on the local government units to prepare for the arrival of vaccines in their localities. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muwahe.
The Philippines' AstraZeneca vaccine is now at over 7 million doses since March 2021. This includes the latest arrival of more than 400,000 doses from the United Kingdom. Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., along with outgoing British Ambassador Daniel Cruz and Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary Jaime Victor Leda, welcomed the 415,040 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, Terminal 3. This is the first tranche of the 100 million doses of AstraZeneca from the UK. Cruz said the donation is a powerful illustration of how the UK and the Philippines are working together in the fight against COVID-19. Galvez thanked Cruz for the donated jabs. He said this generous donation will boost the national government's capacity to provide the country's most vulnerable sectors with an added layer of protection. Malacanang says President Rodrigo Duterte has considered national interest and the U.S.'s COVID-19 jabs donation in his decision to keep the Visiting Forces Agreement, or VFA. The military pact was supposed to be officially scrapped in August last year, but its termination was suspended for 3 6-month periods. The latest was in June this year when Duterte decided anew to extend the VFA's validity for 6 more months. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said the president has considered the totality of the recent situation and thorough assessment of the agreement based on national interest. The United States has donated about 3 million doses of Moderna on top of the donated 3 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines through the COVAX facility.
Talaga namang kung gugustuhin ni Presidente, talagang pinatuloy na niya yung termination ng VFA. Pero nakailang beses siya na extension ng termination at siguro po yung mga totality ng mga pangyayari recently at saka yung thorough assessment of what constitutes the national interest prompted him to withdraw his earlier termination.
Meanwhile, Roque said Malacanang is leaving it up to U.S. President Joe Biden to decide on Senate Democrats' call to condemn human rights violations in the Philippines. The 11 American senators claim that Duterte waged a multi-year extrajudicial violent and inhuman war on drugs that has devastated communities and has been used as justification to target the independent press, political opponents, human rights advocates, and compromise judicial due process. They also raised concern over the 4-year detention of Senator Laila de Lima and the case of journalist Maria Ressa, who was arrested and convicted on cyber libel charges.
We leave that decision to President Joe Biden. Amerikano po yan. In that same way na ayaw nating merong maghihimasok sa gawain ng Kongreso ng Pilipinas, hindi po natin sila paghihimasukan. Yan naman po ay personal na mga pananaw ng 10 senador na Amerikano. Bahala na po sila kung anong gagawin nila.
The Department of Health has been up and alert in case of a surge in COVID-19 cases. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergara said the Department of Health has been working on increasing the healthcare capacity of the country since March. In Metro Manila, an additional 240 intensive care unit beds in select hospitals will be available this month. In Luzon, about 755 ICU beds and 332 isolation beds will be distributed. In the Visayas, there will be an additional 314 isolation beds and 210 ICU beds. And in Mindanao, 190 ICU beds and 306 isolation beds. Vergara said, aside from these, they are also pre-positioning medication, oxygen supply, and procurement of other needed logistics. The Department of Health is also preparing for additional spaces and tents for hospitals. Meanwhile, the Department of Health shares the findings of U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention in comparing the Delta COVID-19 variant to chickenpox. It says both can infect up to 8 persons in just one sitting. The World Health Organization described the Delta variant as the fastest and fittest coronavirus strain yet, picking off the most vulnerable individuals, especially in areas with low vaccination rates. The study shows that although the vaccines are still 90% effective in preventing severe illness against the Delta variant, they are likely less effective in preventing infection or transmission. At least 119 Delta variant cases have been detected in the country. There will be longer curfew hours and stricter border control across the National Capital Region during the implementation of the 2-week enhanced community quarantine. MMDA Chair Benhur Abalos Jr. said checkpoints are already being set up outside NCR and more checkpoints may also be activated within the region. Abalos said the Metro Manila Council, composed of the 17 mayors in NCR, have unanimously agreed to extend curfew hours in the region during ECQ period from the present 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. A liquor ban may also be implemented along with the extended curfew hours depending on the local government unit. Quarantine passes will again be issued to eligible persons by the respective LGUs. Food or cash assistance will also be distributed from the Social Amelioration Program, and more importantly, the LGUs will have to ramp up on their COVID-19 vaccination drive. Meanwhile, Malacanang urged Filipino families to impose household lockdowns or family lockdowns to prevent their loved ones from contracting the highly infectious Delta COVID-19 variant.
Alam niyo po, wag na tayong mag-rely pa sa mga ECQ. Family lockdown ang solusyon po dito. Nananawagan po ako sa lahat ng hepe ng mga pamilya. Hindi ko naman po masabing padre dahil marami po tayong OFWs, na marami rin mga madre de pamilya, mga lolo de pamilya. No? Family heads, mag-declare na po kayo ng household lockdown. Huwag nyo nang palabasin ang inyong mga mahal sa buhay dahil baka mamatay pa yan dahil sa Delta variant. By order of the head of the family.
Still to come, the Labor Department is finding ways to aid 127,000 workers to be hit by the 2-week ECQ in Metro Manila. And Pinoy gymnast Carlos Yulo ends his Olympic journey at 4th place. Details ahead, this is the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Munoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Hi everyone, James Deacon here. The COVID-19 vaccines are finally here, and the government wants to make sure the vaccines reach us. So let's do our part by making sure that we get registered to be included in the vaccination list of our LGU. You can register right in the comfort and safety of your own homes through your LGU's online registration platform. And you can also register on-site in the vaccination venues or through your barangay. Remember, getting vaccinated is the first step towards ending this pandemic. So let's do our part as disciplined citizens. Bida ang may disiplina. Magpakarehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
Bacolod City has received almost 194,000 COVID-19 vaccines to keep up with the rising demand as cases continue to surge in the city. More on this and other news from the provinces from Joyce Cudis.
The city of Bacolod has received a total of 193,850 combined doses of 4 vaccine brands from the national government. The latest shipment on July 31 included 25,000 doses of Sinovac and 585 vials or 3,510 doses of Pfizer jabs. Mayor Evilio Leonardia has been sending a letter request to Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. for more vaccine supply after the city recorded a surge in COVID-19 cases earlier this year. As of July 22, a total of 103,925 Bacolod residents have received the vaccines. 29,720 of this number are already fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, a total of 740 vials of the American-manufactured Moderna vaccine for COVID-19 arrived on Monday at the Legazpi City domestic airport. The Department of Health said the fresh supply can be administered to 7,400 people. The vaccine would be administered to more health workers as well as senior citizens and persons with comorbidities. It would be distributed only to the mainland provinces of Bicol. In other news, at least 566 personnel of the Negros Occidental Police Provincial Office have already been vaccinated against COVID-19. San Carlos City Police Station has inoculated 75 of their staff, which as of Monday is the highest number of vaccination among police stations there. Police Provincial Director Colonel Rome Palgue said police officers were able to avail of the shots provided by the local government units. Latest data show that NOCPPO still has 9 active COVID-19 cases among its personnel. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Joyce Cudis.
Acting Cebu City Mayor Michael Rama said the local government might seek President Rodrigo Duterte's intervention in case its fight against the continued surge in COVID-19 cases fail. The city is overseeing the Cebu City Quarantine Center and Barangay Isolation Centers to accommodate the daily increase in the number of coronavirus patients. Meanwhile, the Department of Health in Central Visayas appealed to nurses to respond to the call to serve in hospitals amid a new surge in COVID-19 cases in the region. DOH 7 Regional Director Dr. Jaime Bernada said they have sought the help of the Philippine Nurses Association to help them recruit more nurses. They also asked the Professional Regulations Commission to fast-track the oath-taking of new passers of the Nursing Board. Some 127 workers will be affected by the ECQ classification that will be imposed in Metro Manila from August 6 to 20. The Department of Labor and Employment said this was the figure in the NCR for workers undergoing flexible work arrangements and reduction of work days. Labor Assistant Secretary Dominic Tutay said over 300,000 workers will also be affected, including in other areas that were also placed under ECQ. Tutay said this does not include some 152,000 workers who have been displaced from January to July in Metro Manila. He added that the figure is likely to increase due to the impact of the pandemic to the economy. A small working group is studying on how to provide financial assistance to the affected workers. Earlier, the department provided cash aid to formal and informal workers through social amelioration programs such as COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program and Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged Displaced Workers. Taking a cue from weightlifter Heidelin Diaz's gold medal feat in the Tokyo Olympics, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III called on the Bureau of Internal Revenue to go for the gold by surpassing its tax collection targets for this year and beyond. In his message on the BIR's 117th anniversary on Monday, Dominguez commended the agency under the leadership of Commissioner Cesar Dulay for enabling it to function effectively during the lockdowns. Dominguez said the BIR's digitalization initiatives helped prop up the country's fiscal position ahead of the COVID-19 pandemic. Dominguez said the pandemic will continue to test the Philippines' fiscal stamina as the government will be spending more to strengthen the healthcare system while funding economic investments and paying down the debt that the country has incurred to support the national budget. For the entire year, the BIR is targeting to raise its tax collection by 6.7% to 2.08 trillion pesos from 1.95 trillion in 2020. In sports, the House of Representatives on Monday conferred the first ever Congressional Medal of Excellence on weightlifter Heidelin Diaz for giving the Philippines its first Olympic gold medal in the Tokyo Games. The chamber adopted House Resolution 2041, commending Diaz, while the congressional award was institutionalized through a separate resolution. Speaker Lord Alan Velasco said the Zamboanga City native deserves gratitude and recognition from every Filipino after clinching the very first top podium finish for the Philippines. He said Diaz serves as an inspiration to Filipinos, especially young women and athletes. The lower chamber also adopted House Resolution 1981, seeking to institutionalize the Congressional Medal of Excellence for athletes who win gold medals at the Olympic Games. Velasco said winning the gold medal at the Olympic Games signifies the singular highest level of achievement of an athlete. Carlos Yulo came tantalizingly close to a medal when he placed fourth in the men's vault finals in the Tokyo Olympics at the Ariake Gymnastics Center on Monday. Yulo's score was just a hairline short of the total of bronze medalist Arthur Davtyan of Armenia. The 21-year-old was hoping to redeem himself in the vault after failing to advance to the finals of the men's floor exercise. Shin Jawan of Korea won the gold, while Russian Denos Ablyazin got the silver. Despite being disappointed by his failure to win a medal, Yulo vowed to come back strong. Yulo is competing in the All Japan Seniors next month. Up next, an official stamp in honor of the late former President Noynoy Aquino is launched. And a study suggests different antibody levels are needed to fight various coronavirus strains. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Commander Dito Ocampo po ng Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary para sa kumpanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit natin kailangan magpabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Dahil mahal mo ang iyong sarili, pamilya at bayan. Ang bakuna ang tiyak na paraan para tuluyang mapigilan ang pagkalat ng virus. May mga patunay na mababa ang porsyento ng pagkalat ng COVID-19 sa mga nabakunahan na. At matapos mabakunahan, malaki na ang tsansa na makabalik ka sa normal mong pamumuhay. Kaya tulad ko magparehistro na at magpabakuna na kontra COVID-19. Muli po, ako si Commander Dito Ocampo, Disiplina Muna Ambassador. Nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna dahil bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro tayo at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
Si Mayor Richard Gomez po ito. Sa patuloy na pagharap natin sa COVID-19 pandemic, bawat isa ay bida at solusyon para wakasan ito. Huwag po tayo matakot magpabakuna dahil ito ay tiyak na proteksyon hindi lamang sa ating sarili, kundi pati sa ating pamilya, mahal natin sa buhay, komunidad. Kaya magparehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Ang disiplinado na Pilipino, rehistrado at kailangan bakunado.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte commended Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Mark Villar for pushing big-ticket infrastructure projects under the government's flagship Build, Build, Build program. Duterte said Filipinos can see where the people's money goes with the projects undertaken by the DPWH. In his report to the President, Villar said the average spending of the DPWH has been increased to 4.93% of the gross domestic product, reaching 3.4 trillion pesos from 2016 to 2019 under the Duterte administration. Villar said the government has targeted to reach the International Monetary Fund's recommended public infrastructure spending expenditure of up to 5% of the total GDP. Through the Build, Villar said about 6.5 million jobs have been generated for the past 5 years, even amid the pandemic. The DPWH has been at the forefront of building the country's quarantine facilities and modular hospitals and other COVID-19 treatment facilities. 3 new People's Army rebels surrendered to the government troops in Lanao del Norte after being fed up with the lies and hardships of being with the communist movement. Claire Gighe has the story.
3 disgruntled fighters of the New People's Army or NPA are now looking forward to peaceful lives after they voluntarily surrendered to the 4th Mechanized Infantry Kalasag Battalion in Baloi, Lanao del Norte on Sunday, August 1. They also handed over their firearms and other war materials, which included 2 M16A1 rifles, 1 caliber 38 pistol revolver, and 2 rifle grenades.
Ang hingin sa sabakan sa gobyerno ay para mauban mo ang among pamilya sa among panginabuhian. Kay lisod ang NPA, dili lalim. Mismo ang among pagkaon, gipangayo lang sa masa.
The local guerrilla leader said the continuous hardships, hunger, exhaustion, and unfulfilled promises of the communist armed movement have prompted them to voluntarily surrender. Lieutenant Colonel Romel Perenya, commanding officer of the battalion, said the surrenderies were members of the Centro de Gravidad Platoon Dove of Guerrilla Front 88. The voluntary surrender, he said, was made possible with the collaborative efforts between the military and local government unit in line with the government's whole-of-nation approach. The city government, through the City Social Welfare and Development Office, provided the former rebels with family food packs and sacks of rice during the former rebels' symbolic turnover of firearms on Monday, August 2. Concerned government agencies will also be conducting further assessments to determine the interventions to be provided to them. The surrenderies are now temporarily housed at the Kalasag Battalion headquarters, while their benefits under the government's Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program are being processed. For PNA Newsroom, Claire Gighe of the Philippine Information Agency Ligan City Information Center.
The Philippine Postal Corporation has officially launched a stamp in honor of the late former President Benigno Simeon Aquino III at the Manila Central Post Office building in Intramuros, Manila on Monday. The event paid tribute to the legacy of the former head of state that coincided with the 40th day after his death. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar said the Aquino administration's Daang Matuwid campaign ushered economic growth and development in the country. It was also in his time when the Philippines earned its title as Asia's Rising Tiger. Andanar said the Duterte administration continues to uphold and promote the democratic foundations of liberty, sovereignty, and justice as it was with previous administrations. He urged the Filipino people to continue the contributions of Aquino to the country. Ms. Balsi Aquino Cruz, meanwhile, thanked the post office for recognizing the services and contributions of her late brother to the country. Scientists in Russia have determined that the human body needs different levels of antibodies to fight different strains of the coronavirus. Yekaterina Stepanova, a Russian infectious disease specialist, announced the finding to urge people to get vaccinated against COVID-19. She said any level of antibody shows a person had been exposed to infection. However, the amount of antibodies cannot be viewed as a reliable criterion when deciding whether a vaccination is needed or not. She said vaccination is ultimately needed whether one has fallen ill or not. Stepanova also dismissed rumors about a certain dangerous level of antibodies when vaccinated is not advised. She said COVID patients are being treated with donor plasma, which boosts the number of protective antibodies to speed up recovery. The theory of antibody-dependent enhancement of the infection, where virus can find its way into a cell quicker when it emerges with antibodies, is also not possible. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The Philippines pockets another Olympic medal as Nesty Petecio finishes second to her Japanese rival at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Fellow Filipino Carlo Paalam is assured of a bronze medal after defeating his foe from Uzbekistan. More vaccines pouring in, another 415,000 doses of AstraZeneca jabs donated by the United Kingdom arrive in the country, and another 3 million Moderna vaccine doses donated by the United States will arrive later tonight. Boosting pandemic response, the Health Department increases the number of ICU beds and oxygen supply for patients as it works double time to battle the highly transmissible COVID-19 Delta variant. And the Labor Department is sparing no effort in finding means to aid around 127,000 workers that might be affected by the 2-week enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And once again, another historical win for the Philippines, this time a silver medal for Nesty Petecio in boxing. Here's hoping for more medals and good luck to all of our athletes at the Tokyo Olympics. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day. Stay safe, everyone.